All right, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you with another lesson. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Makwakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're going to go into how Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Yahweh, the Most High, is going to send his son Yahushai. Alright, down here very soon. Alright, the two major prophecies we're waiting for is World War III, to be in full bloom, which is, it's already, World War III is, pretty much already started. We're in the beginning steps of World War III. We're like in the build-up right now. And also, a major thing we're waiting on is the RFID chip to be made mandatory. And it will. Alright, and that's it. As soon as that chip is made mandatory, even Apostle Tahar, he says, we can start the countdown. That's a matter of months. So, you can clearly see that we don't got that much time left. Let's say it's next year or at the end of next year. It's not like it's 20 years from now, 15. No, this thing's right here. We're right here. We're right here. We're literally living at the end of our enemy's kingdom. So rejoice, because you can see that we're right here. So Yahweh is going to send, the Most High is going to send his son Yahushai, our Lord and Savior, with the angels. Okay, but the Lord's, his prophets are going to turn into hunters. Alright, the Lord is going to raise his men with spiritual power. Yeah, like you see in the movies, like those superhero movies, like The Flash, like Incredible Hulk, Superman, what's that other guy? Like Thor, stuff like that, The 144,000 are literally going to be like that out here. Get ready, Akim and Aqua. Get ready to see some marvelous works, but it's from the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. See? This is Amos, chapter 9. And, give me 1 second here. Amos chapter 9 verse 2. So this is all going to go into how the Lord's going to raise up hunters and is going to go get all of our enemies. It's just to, let you guys know out there that our enemies are not going to go nowhere. And no matter where they're at, in their space stations, because they have like military bases or, intelligence, like underneath the ocean, they have underground cities and all that. All right, the angels and the 144,000 and Yahushai is going to go hunt all of them down. So Amos chapter 9 verse 2. Though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. All right, so let's break this down. Let's break this all the way down. All right, so Amos chapter 9 verse 2. Though they dig into hell, okay, remember, it doesn't mean that they're going to go into, that place where Christians talk about where, hell is that, there's fire beneath the, the earth, and, there's a red reptile waiting for you with horns and a pitchfork. Okay, no, okay, hell is just talking about the ground, because they're digging into the ground. All right, because that's where all of the elites are. Okay, they're all underneath the ground. All right, yeah, sometimes they come up, they come out here sometimes, because they're around here. You have like the Skull and Bones and, Illuminati, All right, sometimes, yeah, because they be out here, Yeah, because they're not always just down there. They come up here every once in a while, they think they're slick, but the angels see them. You know, the angels see those retards. Remember, the elites, they're on death row. You know, they're man, they are in so much trouble. You know, they always, you know, they're actually safe. They're really guarded, you know, by the angels, because the Lord is gonna preserve some of them for slavery, and then some, you know, the Lord might take out, you know. But the majority of them, like the ones that are like running stuff, yeah, they have angels with them, but not because they're on their side, but just to make sure that they don't go anywhere. There's no escape, you know. So yeah, those that are like the leaders of all that stuff, like Skull and Bones, Illuminati, like your high, you know, like royals, like Rockefellers and all that. Hey, they got an angel with them all the time, but just to make sure that when the Lord gets here, the angels are right there with them. Not to, you know, not really, you know, not for them, but just to make, you know, just to always keep an eye on them, you know. Yeah, because underground, you know, the left-hand side, they have, you know, like fast trains and all that, you know, because they have higher technology down there. You know, they have like robots, super soldiers, androids, clones, fast trains, and all that. That don't matter. Okay, the Lord's gonna, the angels are right there. You know, you devils ain't going nowhere. You know, and you can cry and call whoever you want. You know, remember when the Lord, you know, sends out His word and says, "All right, go get them." You devils are in big trouble. Though they dig into hell, because they're in those underground cities, you know, and they're far more advanced, you know, but that's all right. You know, they can, to the world, yeah, it's, you know, it's something else, you know, but to the angels, you know, and the Lord knows exactly where they're at. You know, the Lord can see through, you know how like technology, like the army and them, they have stuff where they can see through walls and stuff like that. Okay, well, imagine the Lord and the angels, they know exactly where you're at. You know, they know exactly where our enemies are at. You know, it's beyond your comprehension. You know, just look at technology here, how people can see through walls and all that. You know, with their stuff. Okay, that's just technology on this side. Imagine what the Lord and the angels can do. So that's just to kind of give you a reassurance that, you know, our enemies can't go anywhere. So right here, Amos 9:2. Though they dig into hell, so they're going into the underground bunkers. You have underground military bases. It's called DUMBs, deep underground military bases. All right, so you know, because these heathens, you know, and Edomites, they what they do is they you know, they have all these, you know, underground retreats, you know. Though they dig into hell, thence will my hand take them. Who's the right hand of Yahweh? Yahweh Shai. See that? Because Yahweh Shai is going to come down here and get busy, you know. Though they climb up to heaven, because they're not going to go right there where the Most High's at, or in the spiritual realm, but they're going to go, because they go to their space stations. They got space stations and stuff like that. You know, ISS, NASA, you know. You see? Thence will I bring them down. Verse 3, Amos chapter 9, verse 3. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. Well, let's explain this. Break this down. Amos 9:3. Though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, talking about the mountains, because not only do they just, you know, go underground, but they have bases inside the mountains. Yeah, you know, like a quick example. You know, a quick example that's like pretty, you know, known is that what is it? That it's the Cheyenne Mountains. All right, so you know, there's that's what it's talking about, the mountains right there. I will search and take them out thence. See, so yeah, you know, enemies are about to be hunted down. Yeah, you know. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, right? Because you guys ever seen that movie Godzilla? You know, I don't remember exactly which one, but it was like one of the newer ones. But remember how like the those advanced teams, they had like a military base with like high military intelligence. They had it like underneath the ocean. Remember they had the doors. They closed the doors and they saw Godzilla coming. All right, because they have bases like that. They have like retreats like in the bottom, not like all the way in the bottom of the ocean because they can't go that far, but they have them in the oceans, you know? They have stuff like that. Black sites, you know, out there in the bottom, you know, like in the sea, you know? They have black sites, you know, military bases. See? And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. So Leviathan, because that creature Godzilla is real. It's real. It's very real. So that's something that you have to, something that you gotta know. Okay, because yeah, that serpent is talking about Leviathan because the Lord's top apex predator, you know, Leviathan, who's huge. You know, he's at the bottom of the ocean, and he has cousins too. You know, so that's something else that's about to be released out here. You know, Leviathan, he's gonna be destroying all these buildings out here, Esau cities. You know, yeah, yep. It's very real. Okay, you know, because the Lord's gonna be start plaguing this place real bad. Remember, like it tells us in Ezra, the Lord's gonna plague Egypt, but like plagues like before. So remember how there was like a lot, you know, Egypt, the plagues where they had the blackness. Remember the Lord took all their firstborn. Okay, remember when there was you know, like there was the place was full of locusts and frogs. The Lord can do that, you know. You ever seen where like on a hot day, you know, you guys probably like had candy out or something, and you had like a whole bunch of ants just like attack your food. You know, you couldn't even see the ground because there was so much ants. The Lord can literally have like mice out here, like rats. He can have, you know, frogs just cover these streets, just totally cover these cities. You know, imagine that. The Lord's gonna do that. You know, that there's a lot that's coming. You know, it's not just remember the military and martial law. Remember, no, the Lord's about to bring His plagues too. All right, where you know there might be so many frogs or whatever He chooses, the Lord, to be out here. You won't even be able to see the sidewalk. You won't even be able to see the street. You know, imagine that. So you remember, those are coming. You know, the Lord's gonna bring all those plagues as before, plus more. You know, newly created creatures, dragons. Okay, you're about to see a lot out here. You know, brace yourselves now. I remember it's not just, oh, okay, yeah, the Lord's coming with spaceships. You know, no, the Lord, before He gets here, He's about to totally wreck shop. Okay, the Lord's gonna jack this place up to the max, to the max. See? You know, so imagine that, you know, these streets and sidewalks being full of, you know, frogs or whatever, locusts. Okay, so let's go to, let me see. Alright, that covers that. Let me go to Jeremiah. This is one of the main points here. Let me see, where is it? Give me 1 second. Yeah. Alright, so this is Jeremiah. Let's see here. Bear with me. Alright, so let's start at verse 14. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, that it shall no more be said that the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Yeah, because that was major. All right, Exodus, All right, what happened in Egypt? All right, you know, all the heathens heard about that and were frightened. You know, the world heard about that. Remember, the Pharaoh was very powerful. You know, and remember, the Lord destroyed Pharaoh, plagued Egypt. You know, people heard about that. Because remember, you think America's strong? Egypt was powerful back in those days. Okay, back in that time, Egypt was very powerful. You know, so when the Lord destroyed it, you know, people all knew. You know, it's kind of like America right now. You know, because right now, you know, around the world, people are like, oh, they can't take down America. See, because that's what people think. Because right now, they're just in that time, and they're like, nah, there's no way. You know, like nah. See, because that's how Egypt was. But back in that time, you gotta put yourself there. So Egypt was like, they were a force to be reckoned with, like America. You know, like they were no joke. You know, so it's not like, okay, there's a little town. Nah, you know, they were powerful, man. See? So that's why people are like, what? You know? Because it wasn't just like, okay, they took down Iraq. No, like it was big. You know, Egypt was very, very powerful. The Pharaoh had power, you know, beyond your imagination. You see? All right. So let's go to the 15th verse. But the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai liveth, because the Lord is alive. All right. That brought up the children of Israel. So the children of Israel, because the Lord's not coming for the world. He's not coming for the heathen, the Edomites. He's coming for the children of Israel, but more importantly, he's coming for the elect. See? All right, from the land of the north. So the land of the north is talking about the United States, America, okay, because that's the north. And yeah, you have the elect scattered across the four corners of the earth, you know, but you know, the majority of the elect are here in America. You got all 12 tribes here at the same time. See? So this is why there's so many UFOs. If you look up on your phone right now, okay, I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't want to, you know, go off topic. But you guys can just look it up if you know, if you care, you know, if you're interested. The most frequent, okay, UFO sightings are in America. Okay, you might wonder, like, why is that? Okay, why are most of the, you know, these so-called UFO sightings, which are the Chariots of Israel, you know, so-called UAPs, why is there the most recordings right now in America? Okay, if you look compared, because they're happening around the world, okay, but in America is the most frequent sightings of the so-called UFOs. But why is that? You know, remember, there's always that why. But why is that? Okay, because you know, because this is where the majority of the elect are. Yes, you have, you know, the 144,000 and the elect scattered across the four corners of the earth, but the majority of the elect are here in America. See, so America is going to be action-packed, because not only that, remember, America is going to be one of the worst places to be at in the time of judgment. You see, so it's like it's hand in hand, it's balanced. So you're going to have the worst things happening here, but at the same time, you're going to have the main deliverance is here in America. So why do you see so many why, if you look up, if you care to know, that is, just look up, you know, where are the most, you know, recordings happening right now around the world, and they're happening right over America. All these sightings, why? Because the angels are here, you guys, you know, see, you know, and remember, just because you don't see a ship, you know, because sometimes people will see a so-called UFO and then it will just vanish. Yeah, but that don't mean that ship's not there. The angels are out here 24/7. Remember that, okay? That's just something, you know, just to always keep in the back of your head. You know, because when you go through your hardships and stuff, I know sometimes you can be like, damn, man, the Lord forgot about me, or, you know, because, you know, that demon of doubt tried to creep in. Remember what happened to Peter, okay? Remember when he was walking on water, and then, you know, the wind blew, he's like, oh, shit, you know, because that demon of doubt, then he started to sink, see? And then Yahushua grabbed his arm and said, oh, thou of little faith, you know? See, because it happens, you know? We're in the flesh. You know, it happens to all of us. Okay, I myself, it happens to all of us. Okay, but that's why you got to constantly keep yourself like in check. You gotta trust in the spirit. You see, because that demon of doubt will try to creep in and be like, oh yeah, you see that? The Lord just left you out here. And demons will talk crap. You see, so you gotta like rebuke those demons and just remember the spirit. Yeah, because if you stay in the spirit, you can't go wrong. You can't lose, hombre. You can't lose, mi amigo. All right, yeah, you're gonna catch hell still. We all are. But if you stay in the spirit, it keeps you right there where you need to be. See, that's why patience possesses your soul, because you're waiting. You're not just like, oh damn, and just murmuring, complaining, because you're gonna trust in the Lord. You're gonna be like, well, this happened because the Lord wanted it. The Lord wanted this to happen. So you're gonna be with more understanding. You're gonna have more patience. Like, okay, well, shit, the Lord wanted this to go down. Or maybe the Lord just wanted me to learn this lesson. See, so you're gonna be more patient, not just complaining, just, oh, I'm never gonna have this, and I'm never gonna do that. See, because you're gonna be patient. You're gonna be like, okay, well, this is coming from the Lord. All right, maybe He's judging me, something I did. This can be a lesson. He wants me just to learn from it, or the Lord just wants me to practice patience, because you have to let patience have her perfect work. All right, so that's why that scripture is beautiful. In your patience possess your souls, because when you're patient, you're gonna, you're not just gonna lash out and be like, oh well, fuck, man, I'm never gonna have this, and I'm never gonna have a better job, and just be all negative. No, you're gonna trust in your Lord, and you're gonna know that, well, the Lord's gonna give me it in due time, and if not, He don't want me to have it. The Lord's gonna want me to do something else, because you're going to calculate things, but in a spiritual way, and you're gonna reflect to the Lord, rather than just, oh man, see, I already knew it, I'm never gonna fucking have this, and I'm never gonna have a nice car. No, that's it. Instead of going down that route right away, you're gonna be more mature in the spirit, more relaxed, and you're gonna be like with more reason, See? All right. Let's start again from the top. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 15. But the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, America, and from all, here we go, and from all lands whither He had driven them. So, because the elect are scattered across the four corners of the earth. See? Where He has scattered them. Because it wasn't up to the heathens. Okay, it doesn't say that the heathens are smarter than us or more powerful than us. No, the Lord pretty much gave us up for adoption. That's what happened. Okay, it was just for a little while. You see? So that's the difference right there. All right, so it wasn't to destroy Israel. It was just for education. It's kind of like when when your parents put you like on timeout, or like when you're in school and you get in trouble, you have to go to detention or something like that. It's like that. Okay, because it's not so much to push you off a cliff and say, all right, kill my children. It's just to punish us for a little while. See that? So the Lord handed us over to the heathen. That's why, because if you look around, if you really pay attention to the heathen, you'll see that they're goofy. They're way weaker than us. Like, look at these clowns. Look at Moab. How is he above the Israelites? See? You see like these devils like Noah Harari. You're like, how the hell is this dude ruling over me? He ain't better than me, because the Lord gave him that power to rule over us. See that? Yeah. That's just to show you that because the Lord does what He wills. But remember, we're in this predicament because we stop obeying the laws, statutes, and commandments. You see? All right. So remember, we went off as a nation. You see? So this is why we're in this predicament. But I mean, hey, at the end of the day, just look at it. Is there any brother or sister out there? Yeah, some of you may be, going through breakups with your husbands, your wives. Some of you may be losing your cars, your jobs, whatever. But at the end of the day, do you have food? Do you have a roof over your head? You know what I'm saying? I never hear anybody that's part of the hopeful elect that's like just through out here, that don't have nothing. that's just like, hey, like there's no way, like they're just through. You know, I know not any. You see, you know. So it's like when you're on a timeout. You know, the Lord. You know, like when you're a child and the Lord and your parents say, okay, that's it. I'm taking away your Xbox and you can't play outside with your friends anymore. You gotta stay in your room. Just do your homework. That's it. But she'll, you know, your mom or your dad, they'll still bring you dinner. You know, you still have your bed. You still got, you know, your fan on right there, whatever. It's like that, you know, because we still got stuff here. You know, we still got food. You know, we got a little this, a little that. You know, it's not like we're just completely like out here with a straitjacket. You know, just threw it out there in the desert with nothing. Like, damn. You know, no, there's ways here. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, the Israelites catch out, but at the end of the day, there's always a way to eat. There's things here, you know, and when things get tight, because it is gonna come down to that wire where our enemies are literally gonna try to starve us out. The angels are gonna come through, you know, and feed the elect. See, but for the elect don't have to worry about that. That's in let me see here. That's in Isaiah 65 verse 13, I believe, you know. And when the Lord says that He's gonna feed His believers, you have to really believe that. All right. Okay, so Jeremiah chapter 16 verse 15. But the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, America, and from all the lands where He had driven them, because the Lord scattered us. This is the reason why we're in this predicament, is because the Lord was mad with us. But now He's returning unto us, you see? And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. So the Lord is going to take us back to our land. Okay, so Lord willing, I'm part of the hopeful elect. So the hopeful elect are going to, the Lord says He's going to take them. So not the British, because the British gave those small hats that are calling themselves us. All right, you know, they gave them that land in 1948. See that? The Lord didn't take them over there. The Lord is literally gonna pick up the elect, like a you know, like a taxi, you know, like a Lyft, like a Uber, like a bus, okay, like a plane, okay, where it literally gives you a ride, like physically, you know. The Lord is physically gonna come over here and pick up the children of Israel by His angels and what? Those spaceships, the so-called UFOs, and take us back to our land. Okay, take the elect back to our land. It's a physical. See? So the Lord Himself is going to take the elect. Did the Lord Yahushai come down here and take those small hats to that land of Israel over there? No, the British gave them that land in 1948. See? It's just to show you where that area is right there. Just to make a correction. Okay, right here. Alright, so now this is the point here. Alright, so this is Jeremiah chapter 16 verse 16. Behold, I will send for many fishers, said the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. So the fishers right now are the prophets, the true prophets, not the sellouts that are under a 501c3 charter. Okay, not you know, not these dudes like, you know, like Al-Azhar, Guerrilla Hebrew. I mean, you already know what's going on with that. Okay, we don't gotta go into much. You know, those of you that are paying attention, you already see what's happening. Okay, that because they're being found out to be liars and all that. You know, sellouts, shit. You know, and this stuff that, you know, the Lord allows us to know. Imagine the stuff that we don't know. You know, yeah, there's a lot of nonsense going on out here. There's a lot, guys. You know, but the Lord just kind of gives you what you need to know. You know, you don't gotta know every little detail. You know what I'm saying? You know, just hey. You know what it is. You know, people that are not good, they're not good. You know, don't try to be too much like, oh, well, I want to know everything. Hey, just chill out, you know. Just know that if someone's not good, they're not good. And just leave it right there, you know. Said the Lord. So right now, yeah, we're still in fishing season, but it's almost over. Okay, it's almost over. So that is the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, is sending His prophets. Okay, around the four corners of the earth to gather His elect. Because the prophets are set up to teach, to give you the correct message. But the prophets can't wake up the elect. That's only up to the Lord and the angels. All right? You see? And they shall fish them. And after, this is very important right here, which is the time that we're approaching right now. Okay, and after will I send for many hunters. See? Many hunters, because the prophets are going to turn into hunters. So the 144,000, the house of David, the tabernacle of David is about to be activated out here. And this is who the top elites, who they fear, because they know that they got that power. All right, it's kind of like remember like that movie Superman, where those people, they knew about Superman's weakness and they had the kryptonite. See, like that, you know. So because these top elites and top teams around the world, they know about the 144,000, and they know once they get activated, there's nothing that they can do. So that right now they're trying to do everything they can to keep the 144,000 asleep. Try to keep them sinning against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, but it don't matter. You know, they could put pork in their food. They could, they could try to poison their food. You know, they can, try to do whatever they want. You know, but remember, their sins are covered by Yahushai. So it don't matter what they do. You know, their hopeless attempts is for nothing. You see, the 144,000 will be activated out here very soon. It don't matter what they try to do out here. See that? Because remember, it's already done. This is what our enemies don't get. Okay, Yahushai already beat Satan. Okay, it's finished. So his blood is so powerful, it covers their sins. So our enemies, when they try to get the elect to sin and go off, and try to get them to like sell out, it can't. Because if that person's part of the elect, it don't matter. Yahushai has them covered. Yup. Remember that. See? So that's why, like the prophets, will pray for the elect and stuff. But they're not over there like having them, put cameras on brothers and sisters and like, oh man, we got to make sure that this brother or sister don't go off because, we don't want the left hand side to take them. No. Okay. We're not even concerned about that because the left hand side, you couldn't take them if you tried. See that? Why? Because Yahushai already won. His blood covers them. Yeah, they have to make adjustments and stuff like that. But the left-hand side, you can't get them. So that's why we're we pray for brothers and sisters, but we're not over here like with cameras and, all right, hey, we got to make sure that, they get on point. Kind of like paranoid. Like, hey, like make sure because the left-hand side is going to take them. Nah. Okay? Not at all. Because, remember, if that person's part of the hopeful elect, it don't matter what the left-hand side does. See? So we ain't worried about that. Alright, because once you know what it is, remember, then you can be a little bit more relaxed. You don't gotta be all, like paranoid. You don't gotta be worried. Because remember, Yahushai already laid it down. This is why we have to give all credit to Yahushai. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Yahushai, he laid it down. And they shall fish them, and after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain. See? Because our enemies are in the mountains, and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks, because they're in those underground retreats. Verse 17, Jeremiah 16:17. For my eyes are upon all their ways. So right there, when our enemies are like, oh yeah, they don't know what we're doing. The Lord and the angels don't know what we're doing. Yeah, right, they are not hid from my face. There it is. Neither is their iniquity, their sins, hid from my eyes. Verse 18. And first I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double, because they have defiled my land, and they have filled my inheritance, with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. All right, yeah, because these small hats, they totally have destroyed the land over there in Jerusalem. All right, they have gay parades and kosher pork and all that. They have all kinds of stuff like that going on out there. You see? All right, so that's it on today's lesson on the 144,000. Yahweh Shai, the angels will soon, you know, will soon hunt down our enemies. So that's just to let you know, because right here Jeremiah spoke about it. Okay, just telling you that, going into the underground retreats and all that. See, Jeremiah spoke about this way back. See, all right, underground cities, their space stations. So we covered all that right now. See that they didn't have that back then. All right, this to show you that the prophets received real visions, because do our enemies, do they not have underground cities? Yeah, they're in underground cities right now. They have big old, they're hiding behind big old doors. They have androids and super soldiers protecting them. See that? The 144,000 is gonna run right through them. You see? But that's real stuff. Because down there they have they got like fast trains. They got like higher technology down there. That don't matter. You know what I'm saying? But it is true. They do got that. That's something that our enemies do got. You see? All right. So with that, that's on today's lesson. Stay prayed up. Stay in the spirit. Sharpen your pencil. I mean, we all gotta do that. I myself, if you gotta study more, remember, it's about balance. So if you're watching too many videos and you're not reading enough, read more. If you're not praying enough, you gotta pray more. You gotta find that balance there. See, there's gotta be that balance. You can't be doing too much of one thing. So you gotta have that balance. So with that, stay strong, and just know, Akim and Akwath, we're one day closer. We're right here. We're right here where the kingdom of heaven's at hand. So with that, just endure whatever you gotta endure, hardships, losses, because that's another main thing that I wanted to cover, and Lord willing, I'll make a lesson on that. But the Lord, He's actually gonna start taking out, He's gonna start taking out, like the elects, like their parents. Okay, but why? But because not just to like just take them out, but so that they don't have to go through the hardships. So people, Israelites, they're gonna receive something called like a mercy kill. Okay, like the Lord might have them just kind of pass away in their sleep or whatever. But remember, the Lord's gonna start taking Israelites, out of here. Because remember, and it don't mean that the Lord was upset with them. The Lord can just take them out of there, because remember, it's about to get very bad out here. So the Lord's gonna start taking Israelites out of here before things, like the so-called white man says, before shit hits the fan. Because it's gonna be like that out here. So that's something that I received in the spirit from the Lord. Okay, I'm gonna share that with you. Now, that's very heavy. Okay, that's very heavy. Yeah, the Lord is gonna start doing that. Like taking Israelites out of here, but not because just because he was mad at them and he judged them right there, but to get them out of here. That way, they're just resting with the Lord, and they don't have to go through all this martial law and starvation, because it's gonna be very bad out here. Very bad, very bad. So the Lord is gonna start taking some Israelites out of here, but so that way they don't have to go through like martial law and all this madness that's what's about to occur. So you gotta prepare your minds out there and your souls, because the Lord's gonna start taking brothers and sisters out of here. Yep, and remember, it's not just that He's necessarily mad at them, but it's to kind of get them out of here before shit hits the fan. Yeah. So you gotta remember, we're in that time. So remember, get ready to see like a lot of losses, a lot of deaths. Some deaths are gonna be, because the Lord was upset and that was their judgment, But some deaths are gonna be like kind of like mercy kills, mercy deaths, to put it like that. It's just because the Lord's gonna get Israelites out of here, so that way they don't have to endure, they don't have to go through martial law, concentration camps, and all that. 'Cause that's very real. Because it's really gonna be very detrimental out here, very bad. So just you gotta prepare your minds for that. You gotta prepare your it has to be like that, like nonstop, because you know uh, you know you know you're not really used to seeing like massive deaths and all that. So you have to prepare yourselves and your minds, because the Lord's gonna start taking people out of here. So just always stay sharp and remember what time we're in. So it's you can always yeah, of course, go hit the malls or whatever. Go have a good time with your family, but just remember what time we're in. Don't be shocked when a Lord takes like a member of your family. Remember that, because we're in a time of war. We're in a time of death. So just keep that in mind. Just keep yourself always, and keep yourself in order. And remember what time we're in. So when that time comes, you're not like, damn, what the heck, like the Lord just took my family. Like, remember, okay, the Lord is about to really destroy this place. You gotta, you have to, be here in the world, but not be here. It's use it, but don't abuse it. Because remember, this is not our rest. We're not here on vacation to have a good time. And sometimes too, when you have a good week, you have a good week at work or whatever. Let's say you met you met a new chick or something like that, whatever. However, vice versa. You remember, don't get too excited. You can yes, you can still enjoy yourself here, but remember that you're about to see massive death out here. So you have to always keep yourself ready and know that what time you're in. So don't get too complacent. Don't get too comfortable, because you know how it is. Sometimes you got bad weeks and you're like, damn. But sometimes you have good weeks, but sometimes that's bad too, because you're feeling too good. Then you have overjoy. Then you kind of like, hey, like wait a minute, you're not on point no more, because you're laughing too much. Everything's going good. You probably got a new car, a new job. You're like, damn. You got a fridge full of food. You're like, damn. See, and that's not bad, but just don't get distracted. You can't be overjoyed too, because you can be too happy, and then now you're making stupid moves. You're forgetting that you're forgetting that you have a target on your back. See, so you got to keep yourself right there, not too low, where it's like you're through, but not too high. High-minded, where you're just like, oh yeah, ain't nothing gonna happen. You're just living it up. So you got to keep yourself right there, right in the middle point. Okay, so that's that's why that prayer is very important. Give us our daily bread, because not too little where it's like, damn, where it's like, shit, you can't do anything, but not too much too, where you're too happy. Then now you're distracted and you forget that you have an enemy following you behind your back. See? So you gotta stay right there, right there. And that's called balance, ladies and gentlemen. See, so with that, that's it on today's lesson. Okay, keep enduring. Okay, keep the faith on your feet, soldier. Shalom.